Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we've got several areas that we're watching in the tropics. Of course, we have Tropical Storm Franklin. We have this one invest that we've been watching working its way across the Atlantic. Not a real big chance that we're going to see anything happen with that. Just a little small area of convection with that. So Hurricane Center putting about a 30% chance over the next 7 days. Then you see that flare up of convection there. This is actually the remnants of once Tropical Storm Emily. Now, this is going to at least try and reform over the next few days, but notice where it's going. It has a good chance of reforming, but it's heading out over the middle of the Atlantic, eventually into the North Atlantic. So even if it does reform, should not be any issues other than maybe some shipping because it's working its way out over the middle of nowhere as we head towards the end of the week. So here's the latest on Tropical Storm Franklin. Top winds right now are at 40 miles an hour. It's moving to the north at 13 miles an hour. You can see the icon. It's basically sitting right over the middle of the Dominican Republic. You see that flare up of convection with this. That is indicative of those very strong storms, the heavy torrential tropical rains, which are currently falling with this system. So that's going to be a really big concern as we go through today into early tomorrow is just the heavy amounts of rainfall. You have the rain through these areas, then up into the mountains as well. Remember, the rain in the mountains, it's going to go downhill and into the valleys, and that's where you're looking at that really, really big risk of flash flooding with this system as we go through the next, say, 24 to 36 hours. Now, once it works its way to the north, it moves up into the Atlantic, and it's kind of zigzagging back and forth. And initially, in that short term, I think it's going to take a little time to reorganize itself. It will start to reorganize, and then conditions start to become more favorable for development. So as we head towards the weekend, you see that intensity really starts to ramp up. We go up into a hurricane and then up to about 105 miles an hour, potentially with this storm, making that a Category 2 storm as we head into the early parts of next week. Still not expecting this to affect the U.S., but remember, we've got Bermuda up here, so Bermuda has to watch this pretty closely over the next several days as you've got this storm kind of zigzagging across the Atlantic. Now, as far as rainfall amounts, there you see on that lee side, on that northern side of the Dominican Republic, lesser amounts of rain. But as you get up into these mountains and down into some of the valleys here, that's where you're going to see really some of the torrential rains. 14, could see up to about 16 inches of rain in some areas as well. And that is what is going to cause some of that just really bad flooding in this area. Life-threatening flooding is certainly possible with this. So watch the forecast winds. We're watching Franklin. We're also watching Emily further out into the Atlantic. Looks like that certainly has the possibility of reforming, but you see what it's doing. It is racing on to the north. We've got that ridge of high pressure to the east of it, and that is helping to really steer that system on to the north. And then here we are on Friday evening. Franklin, it's reorganizing, but you're still not seeing those really strong winds with this system. So it's going to take some time for that to happen. And then by the time we get into Sunday, here we are on Sunday morning. Now we're really starting to see the system getting more organized, starting to really strengthen as well as it works its way to the north. You see those much stronger winds on that east and northeastern side, indicative of that rapid intensification with this system as we go into the early parts of next week. Here's another view where we're looking at Franklin moving over the Dominican Republic. We have Emily out here. Now there's another area that we're going to be watching as we go through the next several days. That is actually down in the Pacific Ocean, where we actually have some disturbed weather moving over Central America as we head into the weekend right through here. As Franklin's moving off the coastline, we're going to also watch this area, just kind of a general area of low pressure kind of meandering across the Yucatan. But the Fox model has been picking up on this for a few days now, working its way through the Caribbean, maybe over into the Gulf of Mexico. And there's that possibility we could see some development with this if this area of low pressure works its way over the waters, especially over the Gulf of Mexico. Some very warm water. And there is certainly the possibility we will continue to watch all these areas, and we'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.